Okay, so now what I'll do is solder down this side, and want to bend it so that the support touches. I don't want it to have any kind of don't have to bridge a gap there. So let's make sure that's touching both sides, and it looks like it is. So I'll go ahead and solder it down right there. Before I do, I'm going to test it. And it looks right. Always want to test for success. I know that was bad. It's just starting to melt, so I want it to melt real good and liquidy, so I'll give it another second. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, so I'll let it cool down now, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, well, it's still a little warm, but I'm going to go ahead and try to build the next support. I want to support it right here, so I'm going to have it maybe come off of this side and grab on. So let's start off with a little hook. So I always like to hook it to the frame. Maybe I'll hook it right there. And build a little support, cut off the end, and loop it so that there's not a sharp edge. What I'll do is kind of bend it in so that it grabs on right there. Maybe it's a little more. Okay, and now I need to bend it this way so that it goes in more towards the track. And that looks pretty good, so I'll go ahead and crimp it down right there. And grab it with my... I didn't crimp very good, so let me crimp it again. There. And I'll grab it onto with my wooden clothespins, and now I'm going to put flux on it where it meets the frame. Start up my propane torch, and then give it about 10 seconds. There it goes. Alright. Leave my torch going just a little bit so I can just continue on without having to restart it. And it looks like everything's touching, so I'm going to go ahead and flux where it meets the track. Bend it in just a little bit so I know that it's touching. So I like it touching. Alright. Now I heat a little bit. And see, it's already hot, so it doesn't take much to get it going. It's even dripping a little bit. Okay. There we are. Okay, so let that cool down, and be back in a minute. Okay, so yet again, I'm going to try to weave the wire through the sculpture. So I'm going to grab this one and run it through the sculpture and try to weave it gently as I can. Okay, so that one looks good. Now let's weave the other side. And I apologize that I'm hitting the camera stand and it's probably being like a earthquake over there. But it just happens. Alright, so that's looking okay. I need to bank it as best I can and keep it from running into the track above it, so I'll make it go down a little bit. Alright, let's test that, see how that works. It just barely fits through there. That is great. Alright, I'm going to move this up. It's just a little end piece, just so that it doesn't get in the way of a marble. And try to straighten some of these so they look like they're the same width. Okay, let's try it again. And it's too high. Try it again. And that may be just asking a little too much of this track to do that, because I'm having a really tight area that I'm going through here. Just barely. Well, I don't like just barely, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend this part of the frame so that it gives me a little more room, and that way I won't be hitting the track above it. Alright, a little bit of bending skill there, or lack thereof. Okay, try it again. Wow, that is pretty tight. Okay, one more time. Looking good. Okay, so let's lock it down right there. Going to build another support. I'm going to put it on this side. Let's see if we have enough wire with this little piece. Okay, build a hook. I'm going to build the little loop where the marble will go through and twist it in. Look at that, just barely enough. Okay, looks good, so I'll lock that down. And hold on to it with the clothespin. Now I'll flux where the frame and the support meet. Turn on my torch, let it run a little bit. I'll move it back here and we can see it. Alright. And that is soldered onto the frame. Now I'll need to... Oh, moved it too early, didn't I? And it went down. See, that's what happens when you get too fast. But we can lock it down again. Okay. It looks like everything's still touching, so I'm going to stop right there. A little too much solder. Alright, and now we'll let it cool off and I'll come back to it in a minute.